Hello everybody, thank you for tuning in on the We'll Fix It team. The channel today, we're going to be working on a Goldie but Goldie. This is a 2002 Cadillac, and there's still a few of these on the road today. And because of such, the electrical components are starting to age out. And a symptom that this thing was doing was idling high, like you had your foot on the throttle, and also it would idle really low and shut off. And I did a code scan, and I had a code that was related to throttle position sensor correlation, and I read it through its sweeps and noticed that it seemed a little off. Something wasn't right there. And somebody's been chasing this problem. They've actually replaced this idle valve, thinking that might be possible. Sometimes people will do it yourself. You can tell that's do it yourself because they really mangled that screw up. Anyways, so we're going to get to the throttle position sensor, which for the record is down here underneath this idle control valve, IAC. This is your TPS. And I've tried a few little things to get to it from the side. I had an extension with a Phillips bit. That's not going to do it. So I think the best bet here is to remove that throttle body. And then we'll test the sensor too. I think that's our problem. It's original. But to do so, I'm going to unleash this little part here. There's some hardware that holds it on. There's a bolt at the tippy top. There is some throttle cables. We've got something right here we're going to remove. We'll go ahead and probably just remove this air box because it'll make it a lot easier. And by doing so too, there's a couple of things we'll get out of that. We can check the air filter for debris and look at the throttle body itself, the plate, to make sure that nothing was stuck in the front. So sometimes I have seen pieces and stuff get by the air filter. The air filters come apart in these. And that way we can eliminate any of that. And we should actually be able to see the mass airflow sensor, so it might even get a little cleaning as well while we got all this off. We're removing this here, and then there's two bolts at the very bottom, and the throttle body will come off. And then after that, we can get really good access to the throttle position sensor. And then what we'll do is we'll hook a multimeter to it, and we'll just test it while it's still on the throttle body to see how its sweeps are. And then more than likely that's going to be the problem, and then we'll repair and replace. The throttle cable's off. Sorry about I'm doing this with one hand. We're just going to roll the throttle forward, and then you should be able just to push it. That piece right there will just unsnap, and then we'll just roll the cable out of the little part that's just looped in on that. It's got like a little part at the bottom right here. And once we get this off, we can put something in and hold that plate open, so that'll make everything I'm telling you a lot easier. So a quick inspection of the air filter now that we've got the air box removed. This looks like a K&N style filter. It's aftermarket, that's for sure. And I mean, they're advertised as just superior filter. And in my honest opinion, the reason why they say that is because you can move more air and all this stuff. Well, they do that because the porosity which is not even a word, in that foam allows for more air to breathe. And they say that the paper element doesn't close off like paper elements do. But this is just a street car. They're not revving on it. And they're never serviced properly. The reason why these things even are able to filter as good as they are is because they use it in oil that they spray on here. And because of the lack of maintenance, the oil dries up, and then you get a buttload of dirt that just makes it by the filter. I've seen worse. It's hard to see in there, but let me get my light so you can look in here. I want to show you what it looks like. Let's see here. Down inside of here, I'm trying to ask, I need to get the top of it off, but there's your one of your sensors for your mass airflow, and then you got another one right up here. But I need to get it apart better so you can see. But we'll clean that up. That's a terrible picture, but we'll get there. So I'm going to replace this and put a regular paper filter back in place of it once I go back with it, because this servicing this you can just buy a new one already ready to go. I don't like them. I'd rather have a paper one in there for what we're doing here. I've got the throttle plate open manually so that we can work with these cables, and I'm just going to reach behind here and just I'm doing this with one hand, by the way. Unsnap this, and then on the bottom over here the cable sort of latches in, and I'll need both hands to do this, I think, because the way this kind of goes down here, I'm going to have to release the cable out of this part right here and then kind of like snake it down, and then I've got to undo this. So let me do that with both hands. To make that easier, Ended up just taking the throttle body off with the cables hooked to it and spun it around to get it out of that little latch right there. So now let's take it to the bench and see if it's gonna check out, see what numbers we get there. By the way, to see that you got 3 terminals, and the center one would be the center part of the sweep. That 2 outside ones, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I've got to ohm it out, but will be the up and down sweep of it. We're looking for a consistent number, though. Let's see what it does. I was checking the sweep. Should go up. Pretty smooth. The other side's going to read it, but go down. Go back. Oh, snap. There we go. We're going to see what happens here. We could have other problems. It checks out okay on the bench here, but maybe it's getting hot and not working. So we've already got it off to get to it. We'll put the new one on and just see what happens, but it checks out pretty good right there. Okay, so this time I hit the record button. Please forgive me for my stupid meter. I let somebody borrow my big multimeter and they haven't brought it back yet, so that's what you get for letting somebody borrow something. But we're going to watch it switch. I noticed when I hooked it up the other way around, there was 1,000 ohms difference. We got almost 5.8. Remember, the other one was 4.8. So let's switch it back over here. I don't think I got it on the right one. Maybe go to the other outside one. We should be seeing. Yes. No, we're not. There we go. It's kind of tedious getting that thing in there. All right. What's up with that blip? Huh. There it goes. New parts. Ain't that something else? As soon as we crack the throttle. It's a 5.8K with a funny little blip. I don't know what's up with that. But it's something different. So we're going to plug it up and try it to see if that difference in sweep is going to help us out any. And by the way, well, I was right. It's the outside one. It's the center post, the center tap, and then your 2 outs. That one that's right here is the center tap, and those 2 at the top and bottom are your up and down sweeps. So let's put the throttle body back on and see if it will run right. Before it was cutting off whenever you came to a stop or running up way too high on fast on idle. So we'll see what happens. So this is the this is an air intake temperature sensor. This right here is also won't focus, but you can see those 3 little things crossing over. There's 3 total. We're going to use a mass airflow sensor cleaner and an air hose and a little toothbrush. We're just going to be real careful. We're going to clean those off, and that's what we're going to do to clean that. Okay, so let's see here. We're going to spray. For some reason, they don't look that dirty. We're going to do it anyways. We're going to get that temperature sensor up here and give it a nice little gentle little. We just got to be real careful. This thing right here. Wife's going to be bad when you find out I used her toothbrush for this. Just gently, kind of nice little brushing, and give it a nice little rinse down. I'm going to take some air to it. Answer the phone. So what we got here is we got them cleaned up, and what's happening is it's using air temperature to change resistance. In case you probably watched a bunch of videos on mass airflow sensors, but we'll just give it the rundown. This is an air intake temperature, and it has a pretty specific job. It actually will cause motors to run a little bit higher than normal in RPM range. We didn't get any codes for this, but if this thing does the same thing that it did before, then we won't go to that next. We'll check the live data. So that was, with dust on them, it makes them not work as well. They can't sense the temperature change, and so they lose some of their efficiencies. All right, let's see if it idles high or low or cuts off. Uh-oh. I don't know. Uh-oh. It's a little bit high. Shouldn't be doing that. Let's see here. It's been running like that for all. The guy's been driving it idled up way too high for so long. There's a possibility that you may have to run a little bit and learn how to do this all over again. It's a lot. Well, maybe it's learning how to roll now. That's not bad. Because before, when I did that, it would stay idled up real high, and then it would kind of try to creep down and find its place. And then this was the day over the Friday a couple days ago. Now it's Monday, and when he brought it up, it was cutting off when he come up to us. He came to the shop and go and cut off. I think that's gonna get it right there. That's a good sign. Let off the brake easily. Camera, flipping around the camera so you can see who this dude is. Thank you for watching the Wheel Fix It team. I hope it helps you repair some of these old, still running around cataracts, they call it. But I think that's going to get it, because it was really consistent about how it idled up and stayed that way. And then, like I say, it took him like 4 tries to get in the parking lot because it kept cutting off every time he'd come to a stop. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and to share of this stuff. Let people know what we do out here. If you like the video, leave me a comment. If you have any questions, leave a comment, and I'll do my best to respond. I will. I don't just leave people hanging, not on purpose. Thank you guys for watching, and peace out.